I will, if you allow me, open this great panel that I have the honor to moderate. Panel on scalable businesses, scalable business models, and on the future of creative tech and trends that we can see and foresee in the future. I would like to make sure that everybody can hear us. Is it the case? We have the little chat on the side where the attendees can communicate, and we'll make our best efforts to integrate the comments and the inputs in the talk. Wonderful. And at the end of the talk, of course, we have this this great little platform called Remo, where we can also network in a laid back way. So I would like to thank all of the attendees for attending this workshop. And I'm super happy to welcome two key specialized VC in creative tech and one top creative leader whose work I really highly respect. So I'm speaking of Thibaud Morin from the Level Up Creative Fund, specialized in mobile gaming, and Mischa Wetzel, former director of IBB Ventures, so on the Berliner side. And of course, on the creative leader side is Ventura Barba, who is the leader behind Sonar, the electronic music festival. It's a franchise globally, and also Sonar Plus D, that is built around innovation, technology, and business. So warm welcome to the three of you. And I suggest that we jump directly in because we have a little less of 30 minutes to share together. And so we'll include the questions and the inputs maybe in the last part, last third part of the panel. And I'm suggesting to start with a little introduction round, if you don't mind. And Mischa, I would give you the floor is yours to introduce yourself briefly and your expertise in the field.
Sure, yeah, thanks. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Mischa Wetzel. I'm a venture capitalist with a specific interest in the creative space. So a little bit of my background. The first half of my adult life was entrepreneurial. So I co-founded various companies in the digital media space, co-founded a music label, music publishing company, did a lot of stuff in the digital solutions for publishing houses space. And then I joined IBB Ventures, which is a regional venture capital fund based in Berlin, Germany. And back in 2007, we were actually, I believe, the first specialized VC fund for the creative space, at least in mainland Europe.
Yeah, I'm doing in the field.
There was some other funds in London, I believe, but at least in Germany, we certainly the first to try something like that, which was a VC fund trying to apply the venture capital model to creative industries. So the whole range from fashion, music, internet, e-commerce, digital media, etc. I can tell more about that in a little bit. Nowadays, I've had a few other stints at other VC funds, and I'm now active as an angel investor and an advisor to various startups and venture capitalists.
Many, many thanks. Ventura, would you like to have a go?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for sharing this afternoon with you all. I'm very quick. I'm a trainee lawyer myself. I began my career as a music entertainment lawyer. Then I jumped into the record industry, where I was the legal and business affairs for BMG Spain and Latin America. Back in '98, I have kind of an epiphany. I realized that the internet was going to change upside down my world, meaning the copyright, IT, and IP world. So I jumped into Yahoo, where I stayed almost 9 years, beginning my career as a lawyer there. But then I moved into the dark side, and I was the GM for Yahoo Music, and I was doing videos and radio before Spotify, before YouTube. And in 2009, I jumped also into Sonar, where I am a partner. I'm the executive director of the company. And as you described it, we have an electronic music festival that takes place every June, pandemic apart. in Barcelona, and also in different cities around the world. For the last 7 years, we have also put together a congress where we discuss about entertainment, creativity, innovation, technology, and business.
Highly recommended to all of the attendees. Sonar Plus D is a must. Many thanks. Thibaud, would you like to represent the Paris side of things, or the London-Paris axis? I'm very happy that we have this, this pan-European perspective with Berlin, Barcelona, London, and Paris involved. So, Thibaud.
Thank you. Thanks for welcoming me. I fell into the internet back in 1998 when I was working on the financial markets, and I became internet analyst at the very beginning of the bubble. And when I saw this potential and the transformation, I decided that I wanted to make my career in digital. I moved to Vivendi in the end of 1999, where I was in charge of M&A for the media side, then strategy for the media assets of Vivendi, which were music, video game, television, cinema, and eventually ending up by creating an innovation department, because the name of the game in media for Vivendi and for all of our media was the digital transformation. I left Vivendi 4 years ago to create a VC fund. And our main focus for this first fund was video game and mobile video game. So studio and technologies helping the mobile video game industry, which is and was and is still booming.
Wonderful. Many thanks for this. I'm impressed by your respective careers and paths, and I'm looking forward to the discussion that follows. Maybe as a side remark, creative tech for me is an interesting sector because it brought tremendous returns to European VCs in the last years, and paved the way to a lot of European unicorns. The King, Believe Digital, Spotify, Supercells, Get Your Guide, all of these type of companies. And I have the impression that to understand the future and the future trends, it's always good to have retrospective look in the past. And I wanted to ask Mischa to put the VC lens, so to speak, and to tell us a bit, based on 20 years of entrepreneurship and VC in this particular space, with the scope of what you have done, what worked, what did not work, what type of scheme you have identified as positive for the future.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess I have to preface this by saying that venture capital is a very, very specific type of financing, which comes with a lot of expectations, specifically expectations towards rapid growth and path to exit. So VC is very, very impatient. So the company that a VC invests in has to scale quickly. And the company will have to be sold to an acquirer or have to IPO or so within a time frame of usually 5 to 7 years. So that requires a business model that scales rapidly, and that's not a good fit for many industries. However, as I said in the beginning, with the Creative Industries Fund at IBB, we tried to apply this model to many creative sectors, and not all of these experiments went well, others did. So maybe I'll start out with the ones that didn't work out as well. So we did invest into segments such as fashion, also music labels and music projects, and also movies and film distribution. And in all of these spaces, there are very successful companies, and we also invested into very successful companies, or companies that turned out to be successful over the course of our investment. However, I would say in all of these cases, the growth curve was not as steep as expected for a typical VC. So to give you a few examples, we invested into K7, which is a record label. We invested into a Picture Tree, which is a international film sale distribution company. Very successful companies, very good founders, but this with an investment in these spaces, you can maybe 2x or 3x your investment, but you cannot 10x or 20x your investment, or even 100x, which is what every VC aims for. So these investments were nice, but they didn't really bring the upsides that we wanted to see as a VC. The successful ones were in other spaces, and they usually had to do with digital distribution. So we invested into stuff such as Babel, the language learning app, Blinkist, which is a non-fiction summary service, then stuff such as Movie Pilot, a movie platform, movie recommendation engine, Sofa Tutor, which is an e-learning offering. So these were models where content is distributed in a scalable way to lots and lots of users, mostly by subscription models also. These were the ones that were extremely successful. That's also why the fund overall returned a good profit. But as I said, the VC model is not a good fit for all business models, and it's mostly very, very good for models where the founders want to scale quickly and they use the internet or some other means of rapid distribution and rapid scaling.
Many, many thanks for these insights. It's very precious. I would like to go for the second question to Ventura, and to ask you a question specific to innovation, but also to music. Music has played a very particular role in the creative industries in terms of being disrupted. I would call it the victim of the creative industries, so to speak. So it was disrupted by peer-to-peer, it was disrupted by streaming. And now COVID is disrupting very frontally music festivals, music venues, and artists in the core of what they do and the fees that they can extract from their work. And given this context, how do you see the resilience of this particular industry and the bridges with different sectors where creativity is active for the future of the music industry and music tech?
Okay, let me begin by the end, because I think the end, it's a happy end in this case. I think over these months that most of the world has been in a lockdown, nobody has found any substitute better than going to a festival or a live show. No matter how many streams have we watched, how many Zooms have we done, that going together with my friends and people that we don't know to enjoy our favorite band, it's something that it's irreplaceable. Having said that, the COVID pandemic has brought many challenges to the mass gathering industries and especially to the festival ones. We were one of the few industries within the music industry that was not being affected by the internet revolution. I mean, record industry, the rights industry, all of them has been completely harmed by the internet and forced to reinvent themselves. Live music, since this year, we had the luxury to operate more or less in a similar way than years ago. This is no longer going to be like this. We're gonna implement many changes, both in health issues, security issues, that no matter what, we are going to implement in a post-COVID situation, but also in a most positive way. I believe that innovation has come to this industry, and we're gonna see a lot of new business models that are hopefully gonna add into the revenue stream of a music or of a live music event, whether are streams and many others. So it's at the end of the day, I think even if it has been a forced thing, it's gonna have a very positive impact in the industry.
So you see that as an accelerator of innovation in a way? Absolutely,
absolutely. Once you are in an industry that it's smooth and money it's coming in without no brainer, you became lazy and relaxed. So unfortunately, this is a very
wake-up call.
yeah. So we'll see. Not all the companies gonna be the luxury to innovate, but I think the ones who survive, we're gonna bring a much better product or service to our audiences, for sure.
because there are two sides of the coin. In the music streaming business, for example, be it in music videos or in music sector, the growth are tremendous, and the sector is very healthy and benefited in a way of this lockdown. And the live sector is very different. It's a very different story on the dark side of the coin. But would you see there were a lot of experiments about live streaming and immersive way to experience music? And I was curious to know about the last edition of Sonar Plus D and the type of immersion that you try to explore to find new ways, because the way I see it, you have created a laboratory of, to create the future. So how does it look like?
That's correct. Well, in a way, Sonar Plus D, which is our Congress leg or business, it's a think tank that tries to find solutions for a near future with the creativity in mind, right? So this past September, we did a hybrid event, very much online, but some face-to-face presence. And we play around with many new formats for artists, where those are VR or more immersive landscapes. And we believe that's kind of one area where creative and creative technologies are exploring and are bringing some ideas for the near future. I think that people, our clients, our fans, are expecting a different performance show from artists, and immersive scenarios will be one of them for sure.
So it's possible to enhance the experience of the user. I've seen that Billie Eilish made a show, for example, with Moment Factory, which creates immersive, large-scale immersive setup, and it's interesting bridges between the immersive art and music, maybe to create new schemes and value in the business. Many thanks.
Absolutely. I mean, the intersection between technologies and creators will bring at the age of new frontiers. So that's for sure. Especially because the barrier between online and offline, it's disseminating nowadays, and people want to enjoy this kind of experience.
Wonderful. I'd like to ask my third question to Thibaud. Reflecting a bit on your path to in the leadership of one of the, if not the largest, but maybe the second largest media group in Europe, Vivendi, and also switching to this market, this B2C market of mobile gaming that has created a 100 billion market in terms of size, which is enormous in a very short amount of time. I wanted to ask you, when you project yourself in the future, what type of trends or what type of emerging markets get your excitement? I mean, what do you see 2, 3, 5 years in the future based on your perspective, in your lens?
Okay, I think it's a very interesting question, and there are many opportunities I could see. I think what we can observe over the last 30 years is that in the creative space, there's always a balancing between creation and distribution. So content is king, customer is king. So we have had waves like this for the last 100 years. And basically what happened with the digital transformation is that today some tools, some technologies and some ecosystem have created which balance the power to creative again. And this is what is sustaining all the thesis around the passion economy, for instance, which basically says more and more creators want to express themselves, to broadcast themselves, and to make a living with their art, their expertise, their self-expression. And it's because we have had some tech platforms and distributors that this is made possible. And there's one example I know I'm deeply involved in, which is mobile gaming. basically with the iPhone, a new market was created, giving direct access to consumers, to indie developers. So what it changed is that before in video game, you had to go through a publisher. There were 4 or 5 in the world, and the indies were getting, the publisher were getting the lion's shares of the revenue, and the indies were not scaling unless they have an exceptional content. And it's because it was a business driven by publisher, it was a hit-driven business. With mobile gaming, with the iPhone, a new ecosystem created with indie developers who have been able to develop a game at a low cost. So because of technology, new software like Unity, for instance, who favored that move. So a small team can reach in one click a 2.5 billion potential audience. And this has led to incredible value creation. It's today a 100 billion market, mainly dominated by indie companies, or some of the indie companies are now some very big companies. But anyhow, this were most of the winners was companies who took this opportunity. And this transformation with distribution, platform, technology lowering cost has been transferring into spreading across most of the media. But if you believe in the passion economy thesis and saying a lot of creators can access directly their audience and make a living with it in the future, it also means that you need professionalism. And professionalism for me, and this is where I see the future, is that there is what we call synthetic media, which is the next wave of enhancing tool to achieve more for creators. So basically what is synthetic media? It's AI generated or AI modified media. So basically it's bringing tools at lower cost, so professional tools which are accessible to independent creators at lower cost, and to help them to provide their audience with higher quality product. So what it encompasses is many things, but some example, I mean, an independent creator can create now some top-notch movies with the help of AI. You can have some new monetization system with stuff like synthetic product placement, etc., which opens a new monetization universe. You have all the post-edition for audio and video, automatic translation, voice-generated content, speech and voice synthesis, natural language interaction. It works for music, for video, for images. And this will really help create new ecosystem where many artists, creators will be able to find some market. So I'm very excited about this because it will allow the democratization of creation, which will come back to what it was a few centuries ago when it was an artisan business. What is really important is the content. If you get the tool to develop it and the platform to access your audience, a lot of new businesses can be created. And to finish with this and the opportunity, I mean, any revolution comes with its risk. So I presented what I believe is great about synthetic media, but synthetic media is also an incredible tool to build fake news, disinformation. With facial recognition tools, it also creates some problems around privacy. You will be recognized on Facebook, and then there's a camera at the supermarket with facial recognition, and they know who you are. So it's really a new era we are entering in, which are linked with this adoption of synthetic media, which will be very quick and which will come from media creator. Creatives are the fastest to adapt. And I think this is something that anyone who invests in synthetic media, who look in tools for creative, with the potential of deep tech and AI, has to take into account. So this is a dark side of synthetic media, but obviously if the tools allow you to recognize people, they can also allow you to protect yourself by twisting your digital image so that you're not you can trick facial recognition systems and stuff like that to protect your privacy, for instance. You can have also AI detecting fake news, finding and fingerprinting every document to say, okay, this is a fake one. So there will be a lot of opportunities arising for there. And why I think it's an interesting market for investors, if this is a question of some of you, it's because you have millions of creators. In the music side, for instance, on TuneCore from Believe, there are 250,000 musicians who make a living out of the digital distribution of their music. So when you come with products which are adopted by mass market, you can scale. So this is a direct to consumer model, which is great. But the direct to creator model is per se a mass market business. And so this is also why I think it's so interesting.
Well, many thanks. I would like to open the discussion a bit around this. You know, there was a question from Kelly in the chat saying, you know, how do you stay ahead of the curve, and how do you identify the niche or the low signals that will basically point you towards the next opportunities, and correlated to that, I was wondering, you know, from the VC or the financing point of view, you identify, you have a mapping of the opportunities, but sometimes are the creatives a bit ahead of financiers, or are financiers ahead of creatives in terms of creating unleashing creative potential and massive value creation for the next scheme? I don't know if Mischa or Ventura, you would like to answer on this, on the methodology to get the signals, you know, to stay ahead of the curves and get what will come up, and on this ID high level, are the VCs you know, more informed than the creatives, or sometimes they are surprised by what is popping up?
I believe that the creatives are usually much faster than the investors. We are quite slow actually to realize what's happening on the creative front. And the thing for us is we have to be right with timing. Sometimes we cannot invest too early and we cannot invest too late. It has to be just right, just before a new idea, a new concept, new technology is ready to really gain traction in the market. That's when we should invest, and not if it's just, I mean, synthetic media, for instance, is super interesting, but is now the time to invest there? I'm not so sure whether maybe that's something for maybe 2 or 3 years out, at least the business models that you were mentioning, Thibaud. So maybe when it comes to fake news recognition, yes, that's an issue that's relevant today, for obvious reasons. But the other things, you know, helping creatives use synthetic media to improve their creation, super interesting. It will come, but I would probably stand on the sideline and watch this for another 1 or 2 years before I think it's ready for investment. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point on the when you take, are you financing pioneers or are you financing people that have already proven the model?
I think I agree with you, Mischa. I mean, I was trying to present what's coming in the next 3 to 5 years. And yes, innovation comes from the creative. So that's why I think the creators, that's why I think it's one of the soft signals when you can see some traction, because the creators are always faster than the VC. As a VC, you need only to invest when you see some traction on the market. What has changed in this investment mode and what we see in gaming, but which I think will spread in any creative industry, is that it's now data driven. And when you see some data of usage of people, of starting to scale, it can go very, very fast. I mean, Snapchat was just some first synthetic media stuff, and it created a platform giving tools which are not really synthetic media yet, but which are rich media, gave birth to ByteDance and TikTok. So it can come very, very quickly when people use something, and you have to monitor this and use whatever data is available to find the right timing. And when you have the right timing and the right company, it can be great, but that's the name of the game for VC, to be sometimes too early and sometimes too late.
Yeah.
Maybe one input on you know, as humans, we are a bit like social animals, but we are also cultural animals. And maybe the last question to close the panel would be for me, you know, do you see ways to elevate humans with these inputs from art and the intersection between arts and innovation? Maybe Ventura, I mean, you had a lot of breathtaking creation, innovation inside of Sonar Plus D, for example. Do you see in the future one of these companies at this intersection that would, you know, scale and become a
Definitely. I'm a highly believer that creators are the ones who can solve many of the problems of the world. I think for the entrepreneurs who work on the creative arena, one of the main issues has been put together a plan, a business that appeals many people. And as we have mentioned here, things are changing. And my impression is why they are changing is because those businesses are not just longer having benefits within the creative industries, but also what we can develop there has implications in many other industries, such as automotive or others, right? So if we think what we are going to do when we are in an autonomous car, probably what will happen there will be created, developed, and imagined by a creator rather than a pure automotive engineer, right? So I'm a firmly believe that creators or teams built by creators and other disciplines will are better positioned to imagine a near future.
I think it's a great way to close our panel, to empower creatives and to let them invent the world of tomorrow, including much broader industries than the creative industries themselves. I'd like to thank you warmly for your inputs and your insights. It's been a pleasure to share these moments with you. And if you'd like to further network, I think there is this remote platform where we can you know, go to and have a bit more of an informal talk to expand these exchanges. Many thanks, and all of the best wishes to Barcelona, to Berlin, and to Paris. And I hope to see you very soon. And thanks a lot to all of the attendees for their attention and contribution to the talk. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.